Please rise and join me in a moment of silence. Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. We'll call our roll. Dr. O'Neill. Present. Mrs. Barnes-Griffin.
Present.
Mr. Irvin.
Present.
Mr. Lowe.
Present.
Quorum is present. At this point, we have on our agenda a report from Grissom Elementary School, who is here in force. So I'll start by saying that I hear all sorts of good things about Grissom.
Good. Good evening, President Williams, Dr. Kwiatkowski, Dr. Reynolds, Dr. Bell, and members of the board. My name is Brittany Charles, and I'm the principal of Grissom Elementary School. And tonight we have put together an update on Grissom this school year, and my instructional leadership team has joined me this evening to deliver that presentation to all of you.
Good afternoon. I'm Ryan Mason. I'm the assistant principal at Grissom Elementary. I'm going to be going through some of staff and the numbers of the kiddos here. So we have Brittany Charles, who is our principal, wonderful here. So we have Brittany Charles, who is our principal, wonderful principal. Myself, assistant principal.
I'm Heidi Keever. I'm a kindergarten teacher at Grissom. I've been at Grissom for 26 years, with 20 of those being in kindergarten. I've been a former teacher of the year, and I'm the K-1 mentor teacher.
And then I am Natalie Garrity. I am a second grade teacher. This is my 7th year with Grissom, all in 2nd grade. I am the 2-3 mentor teacher and also a past teacher of the year.
I am Tori Johnson, and this is my 6th year teaching 4th grade only. I originally came from Richmond last year I came from Richmond and I was their district teacher of the year. Dr. Reynolds is my assistant superintendent over there, and this is my 2nd year at Grissom.
I am Jen Johnson. I'm the literacy coach at Grissom, and this is my 23rd year teaching, my 2nd year at Grissom. And unlike my colleagues, I come from a corporation that does not be teacher of the year, so I have not received that award. But sure, I would have had that award. She would have.
Okay, so here's some of our general school information. We have a lot of students at Grissom, but we're happy to have them there. Pre-K, we've got 52 students from 3 classes. Relatively new program there, but I would say overall going well. We've got wonderful teachers in charge there. Kindergarten, we have 56 students, 3 classes. 1st grade, we have 49 with 3 teachers. 2nd grade, 65 with 3 teachers. 3rd grade's our big group, 68, and we've got 4 teachers there. We'll see what happens next year when they become 4th graders. 4th grade, 53, 3 teachers. 5th grade, 54 with 3 teachers. And special education and self-contained, 47 kiddos, and we've got 5 self-contained teachers in that department.
And I have a quick question about that. Am I reading this and interpreting it correctly? You have almost as many pre-Ks as you do kindergarten. That means that coming up is almost a full 100% participation in pre-K.
Yeah, it's a large group for sure.
Well, I would say, here, I'll give you more details. We have some, because we have the co-op,
Right.
there are some of the district schools that have to have students in pre-K.
In pre-K there.
They're in some of our pre-K, and then there are some 3-year-olds. We prioritize 4-year-olds, but we have some 3-year-olds. So it's not quite 100%, but after next year we'll be there.
That's good.
I was really work hard to prioritize 4-year-olds being at Grissom. We do have, my daughter is 3 years old and she is in the pre-K program, so we've got another year of pre-K. But yes, of preschool, which will be, we're hoping that we see that in our kindergarten, classes next year, that we have kids that are better prepared to come in.
Absolutely. Yes.
Thank you. Apologize for stopping.
That's okay.
Good-
I'm almost done.
that's good stuff.
Support staff, we have 24, and then our leadership staff, we have 8.
Okay, so if you watched the news, Grissom got a lot of positive praise, and so we were super thankful that that opportunity was given to us. All of the attendance initiatives that we put into place last year around November are still in place. So our policies, our procedures, how parents drop off, all of our incentives, all of that is still in place. And what you will notice on this graph is that from semester 1 in 2022-2023 to semester 2 in 2023-2024, we've had about a 20% decrease in the percentage of our students who have a daily attendance rate less than 90%. And we've shifted that to an increase in about 20% of kiddos who now have a 94% daily attendance rate. So we were at 31% of kiddos in 22-23, and now this year for semester 1, we were at 52%. So a lot of that is due to this team right here, Mrs. Stone, Mr. Page, Ms. Johnson, who's my counselor. It's a tremendous amount of outreach to our families, home visits, phone calls, letters, and a lot of incentivizing. And so I wanted to highlight a couple new incentives that we have implemented this year have been field trips. So each semester, our kiddos can earn a field trip. They have been to Camp Adventure, and then the picture on the top, they got to go to Gibson's if they maintained excellent attendance for our second 9 weeks. We have also received some grant money, and with our attendance grant money, we are raffling off a bike for the month of January, February, March, and April. So if you maintain excellent attendance, your name goes into a drawing to receive a bike. And so Sunshine was our January winner. She got to actually go with Mrs. Johnson. They pulled up a website, and she had a price range, and she got to actually shop for a bike she wanted. I'm super excited for this second 9 weeks. We have our family incentive, our professional photos. So if a family maintains excellent attendance, they're going to get to come to Grissom, and we are going to take professional pictures for them that will be free of charge just because their kiddos have maintained excellent attendance. So super excited about the initiative and then the incentives that we put in place. And I can tell you today, Mrs. Stone and I did 4 attendance conferences together, and 2 of them were actually families that had called in because they had received an attendance letter. So we have a culture now where our families are calling us and saying, hey, my kiddo is sick. This is kind of my family situation. So we definitely have a culture that's been driven by these ladies and gentlemen beside me, where we're really outreaching to our families and letting them know school's important, we want you here, and when you're not here, you're missed.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about some school behavior data and some things that we're doing in within Grissom to kind of help with the behaviors. I'll try to explain some of these numbers because they get kind of wonky and confusing. So this is based off of our documentation on Power School. So as of this month, the number of documented incidents of behavior that we put in Power School is 386. That is the number of times that a kid gets probably sent to the office with a behavior incident counseled by a teacher or staff that had dealt with it. Within that, those numbers can kind of vary. So number of total documented behaviors, though, is 535. And so what that means, when we look at those 2 numbers, one kiddo in one incident could have multiple behaviors. So they threw a chair, left the classroom, so that's why those numbers are higher than the documentation. Number of actions taken is 360. So that also kind of plays into that an action would be what was the school's response to the behavior. So once again, you could have probably 1 action or as well. And then based off of Unified Insights, our out-of-school suspension rate right now is 5%. And so what does this at Grissom, we have a lot of kids with problems. We really try to do the best that we can to work as a team, to problem solve, and come up with, and don't just push them out the door. So we are constantly trying to figure out new ways to correct the behavior while we keep the kids in school. Do we suspend? Yes, because we have a lot of times when students, the behaviors can be kind of extreme, and we kind of have to set that precedent at some point. But for, I think, everything else, we really, really try to keep them at school and keep them here, and we'll work on that. And the big thing for me is communicating with parents about that and trying to get them on our side about these things and let them know that we're working with them and we're not just trying to send them home. So with that, a lot of our proactive strategies that we do, and I probably couldn't list them all, but I'll try to remember all the ones that I can. One thing I said was increased parent communication. With Ms. Stone, with the attendance, myself and others in the building, like I'm calling parents daily, and we're staying in touch about ongoing concerns and what we're doing and problem solving. And what I tell parents and what I tell everyone is the best way, or the number one way in my mind, to correct behavior is that home and school are communicating and we're on the same page. Because kids are smart and they'll try to play one off the other, and if they don't get in trouble for things that happen here or there, then they can keep doing their thing. We've got to put a stop to that, and we've got to work together to fix those problems. And I think that we've shown a lot of growth when we bridge that communication gap with parents, that those behaviors we've been able to correct. Behaviors don't change every day or change overnight. It takes time, it takes persistence, it takes that ability to keep working with them. So we really have tried to work on that communication piece with home. For our out-of-school suspension kiddos, we do a reentry conference every time that a kid is sent out, and we invite the family to come in and meet with. It's typically myself, our behavior coaches, Mr. Page, our family navigator, Ms. Johnson, our school counselor, and it's a problem-solving committee of what can we do to correct this so that it doesn't happen again. So, community resources with Mr. Page, possible counseling with Ms. Johnson, behavior, classroom strategies with our behavior coaches. What can we do to provide enough service and assistance to help the family and help the student so that we can move forward and continue on with education? So I feel like those conferences are vital to lowering that suspension and not having the recurring suspension time and time again. Alternatives to suspensions that we have in restorative practices, I think that's just the restorative practices in my mind is just kind of how we are as a school. The teachers, the support staff, the leadership staff, is that we are always trying to have those conversations with the students, bringing the kids together, bringing the teacher and the student together. What happened? What can we do from here on out to alleviate this? If we made a mistake, how do we correct it? So those kind of restorative conversations are happening every day with students. And then our alternatives to suspension, we have our in-school suspension program. We call it the Astro Room. It's been very effective that we have an incident that is concerning that we need to address, that we need to contact parents, but we want to keep them in school and we want to keep the education going. So we've been problem solving. We've had some kinks with it this year with getting the right amount of supervision in there. We're working on that. It's still kind of a problem solving process for us, but overall it's going very well. We utilize our behavior coaches, assistant principal. Miss Jocelyn is not afraid to step in and say like, hey, I'll take this kiddo for, this amount of time and kind of reset him and get him back in. So it's at Grissom, it's all hands on deck when it comes to our kiddos and those behavior concerns that we have. And it really is like a true, it takes a village to raise a child. That's what we are at Grissom. And we all work together to try to fix these problems the best we can and try to work together to keep the kiddos here and keep them in school. One thing that I do is each morning I have a morning meet list 4 students, and I work with our secretary. And at the end of one day, the teacher comes up to me and says, "Hey, this kiddo did or said or did this." I'm like, okay, I'll meet with them first thing in the morning. I put them on my list and then send it to our secretary. After announcements, she calls the kid down and we have a little chat. And then I type up a little email and I send it to the teacher to just talk about what we discussed. I feel like it's been very effective with our kiddos, and it's a good way, like they come in through the door and the first person that they kind of meet with is me, and set those expectations, talk about any concerns that they have, and then release them to class. I feel like that's been a very effective strategy for us. Along with that, Ms. Johnson does her lunch bunch groups and meets with kids, and she rotates like she says, like we've got a lot of kids. She tries to spread herself out as much as possible, so she's meeting with groups, and then she'll release them, start a new group. That's been going on all year. Mr. Page is starting a youth leadership group, and so we're taking some kids that have maybe had some struggles, but also exhibit strong leadership qualities, and we put them in a group and we have them help us maybe problem solve some issues as well. So
Chuck, I think you have to hit cancel, please.
I could probably go on and on about all these groups and proactive strategies that we're doing with kids, but I'm lost in my own. But yeah, so overall, it's a true team at Grissom to help our kiddos, and we do that every single day.
Go ahead. Could you get just a little closer to the mic? For each folks, when you come up, we got a little information from the viewers. Talk about your, just quickly, your when students suspended the reentry conference.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
That's critical. I mean, you do everything you can to not suspend kids, but your reentry conference with the parents.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have our student support team that comes in. We invite parents in. We try to make it as inviting and welcoming, and it's not anybody's fault, but we're just here to problem solve as a team, home and school. We talk about resourcing. Does the parent need anything outside, counseling, or any other kind of help for their kiddo that we can provide? We may bring up special education concerns if parent has an issue or has a concern or thinks that their kiddo may qualify. We talk about that. Our behavior coaches, we're coming up with proactive strategies for the kiddo in their classroom, in the school. What can we do? What can we provide to the teacher, to the student, to everybody in the building to make them successful? And then we have Ms. Johnson, our counselor, that will also talk about, does this student need to join one of my counseling groups? Can we put that in place for them too? So it's a very proactive meeting that we have with parents. I feel like overall they are mostly positive. We come up with a lot of good strategies. We come up with a good comprehensive plan. We write it all down, give it to mom, give it to everybody that needs to know about it. And this is kind of our plan moving forward with this student so that hopefully we can move on and move on with education. Okay.
Good evening. I'd like to share a little bit with you about our instructional leadership team. These wonderful ladies behind me, we work together to do so much at Grissom. One of our main focuses this year has been on student-centered coaching. We've shifted our focus from the idea that our job is to fix a classroom teacher. That's not what coaching is. We want to develop the instructional practices of our teachers. So student-centered coaching is an evidence-based model that focuses on collaboration with the teachers using student data and walkthrough information to create a specific coaching plan for the teacher. Our focus is on supporting teacher instruction to get student growth instead of fixing problems in the classroom. We're working together in a partnership instead of one person kind of instructing another person how to do something differently.
So while the goal is student-centered coaching, we've also implemented teacher-led goal setting. So the 3 mentor teachers and the administrators that do the observations, we do weekly or bi-weekly walkthroughs I'm with the 4 and 5 teachers. So depending on the teacher, they'll get a weekly or a bi-weekly walkthrough. They know I'm coming most of the time. And once I'm done with them, we always do a post-conference. It's just 5-minute debrief. And I just let them tell me, hey, I'm coming into your classroom, but what would you like me to look for? What would you like me to kind of watch out for? Is there anything you need help with? And when I think we've noticed when we've opened it up that way, the teachers have been very responsive to us helping them. And then while we conduct these walkthroughs, we're then able to give the teachers the support they need through our PLCs. So all of our PLCs are guided through the walkthroughs. And then for our early release PD days, we have started doing individualized PDs based off of what the teachers need. So the last professional development we did, our third grade team did math instruction, our fourth and fifth grade team did math slides and visuals, just seeing where different grade levels and different teams need the support. So all of that comes from our walkthroughs that we're able to conduct with the teachers, and that positive culture has been set so the teachers don't feel like it's a demeaning thing. It's just us trying to help them so that we can see the ultimate student success.
So our plan for coaching and the training that I have received for coaching has come with our partnership through the Indiana Department of Education and Marian University when we joined the literacy cadre this year. So things that we have been doing this year is implementing curriculum and resources that are based in the science of reading. So we're making sure that the instruction we're giving is best research-based best practices. I receive a biweekly training in research-based best practices in the science of reading through the cadre. It's a virtual meeting that I go to, a 2-hour virtual meeting every other week, and I receive training in coaching and in best practices, and then that is what I use to design PLCs and to work with my mentor teachers. I work with, I had to write this down because I never say it correctly, the Literacy Training Support Specialist. I work with her. We have a partnership with the cadre, and Laura comes to our building, and I meet with her virtually to get specific implementation strategies and training specific to the needs of our building. And then I work coaching individual teachers using student data to guide their instructional practices in the classroom.
And with the cadre, they really focus on K1, 2. So us mentor teachers help build that gap and that bridge with 3, 4, 5 and how to implement it with reading and math for them as well.
So you've heard a lot about some of our school goals. We have pretty lofty goals for Grissom. We have high expectations for our teachers and for our students. And you've heard a little bit about our attendance goals and our behavior goals and how we are on the path there to meet those goals. We also are doing some great things with instruction in the classroom. Our mid-year testing data is pointing us in the direction that we are going to get a 10% proficiency increase on iLearn in ELA and math. And we are hopeful to have 75% of our third graders pass the iRead after the full implementation of that at the end of this school year. So our mid-year data is looking great, and we're going to go over that, and we're going to see some of the great growth we're having at Grissom.
Yes, so send us all your good vibes next Tuesday and Wednesday when Miss Johnson and I are, as we give the iRead 3 assessment. So for 6 years, I have stood up here and I have presented to all of you an update about Grissom, but never in the 6 years have I been able to present academic growth like we have been able to this year. So you have heard us talk about attendance and behavior and this awesome leadership team. And so all of that combined together, I truly believe has put us in the position that we are now academically. So on our graph, you're going to see our growth data from 1st through 5th grade from 2022 2023 and what it looks like for 2023, 2024. So what we want at the middle of the year is that our population, our kiddos, as after they test, that blue bar is at about 40%. So that means that we have grown 40% towards a full years of growth midway through the year. So in 2022, 2023, we were at 34%. And this year we already have a 73% growth towards 100% growth in a year. So our kiddos in half a year have already grown 73%. So that is a huge celebration. We know we still have a lot of work to do, but we were just so ecstatic when we got back all of those mid-year reports and then compared them from 2022 to 2023. And this slide also is another visual that shows you. So in this quadrant, you have in 2022, that blue dot is where Grissom achieved as a whole in reading. So that quadrant is low performing, low growth. So from the beginning of the year assessment to the middle of the year assessment, our kiddos were still low achieving students and the growth was low. But when you look at that blue dot from 2023, now our kiddos, all grade levels, are in high achieving. We're still in that low growth quadrant, but we are up in high achieving. And our hope is, if you notice from the dot in 2022 to the dot in 2023, it is shifting towards the right. And our goal at the end of the year is to get that blue dot as close to that bar or in that far right quadrant, which would classify us as a high achieving, high growth school. And so we're just super excited with the growth that we've been able to accomplish in half a year with the work of the cadre, with our instructional leadership team, CKLA. I know you've heard a lot about Melissa Burton. She is phenomenal. She has come into our school. She has helped our teachers' lesson plan. She has done walkthroughs. She has done learning walks with me. She has been a great source of help as we have rolled out the science of reading this year.
So kind of piggybacking what Miss Charles said, the tables that you see on the screen, the table on the left is our 2022-2023 annual growth, and then the table on the right is this year's annual growth. So the goal is for all students to reach 50% annual growth by the middle of the year. You've been in school half a year, you reach half your growth. So last year in kindergarten, 49%, the average percentage for a student was 49% growth. This year it's 84% by middle of the year. Second grade, the average second grader performed at 29% growth, and then this year 64%. And then if you look at fifth grade, the average fifth grader performed at a 69% annual growth, and they're at 119% annual growth. So the average fifth grader in our building right now, after taking the middle of the year test, has reached 119% of their annual growth. So then the bar on the far right is showing that 38%, and the average kindergartner, 38% of them have reached their full year's growth in 4.5 months of school. So this is just, I think, another testament to all of the hard work the teachers have put in, CKLA, iReady, using all of the curriculum with fidelity, and our administrators making sure that we're using it with fidelity. I think that really goes to show in our growth. So this slide shows the high growth performance from the previous slide. So like Ms. Charles said, the ultimate goal is high performance, high growth in any building, anywhere. And when we look at all of our grades, they are achieving high growth, which after a few years of consistently achieving high growth in your grade levels, then your hope is those that are achieving high growth, they're going to shift over to the right, and then they're going to be high growth and high performing. So if our grade levels are going to continue on this pattern, which we anticipate to happen, then a couple years from now, hopefully we're standing up here telling you these grade levels are now shifted and they're high performing and high growth. Something to look at on this slide though, our kindergartners, who are youngest learners in the building besides preschool, they're already in almost the high performing and they're in kindergarten. So hopefully now when they go into first grade, they're already in that quadrant. They just keep going up as they get more instruction academically. And then this last school data slide, the goal is to have as many students on or above grade level as possible by the end of the year. Our mid-year testing indicates that every grade level has more students on or above grade level than the beginning of the year. So we're happy to see that the number of students that were 2 or more grade levels behind in the beginning of the year has decreased at every level. So while there is still some red, what it's showing is, for example, in 4th grade, since that's the grade I teach, in the beginning of the year, 55% of our students were 2 grade levels or more behind, and now 34% of those students are 2 grade levels or more behind. So in half a year, we've decreased that by 21%. So the hope is, as you're achieving higher and you're performing higher, then these numbers are going to continue to It's kind of a weird balance going up and down. You still see some red, but it's actually good red.
Yeah, good red. You don't hear that often, but that is actually good red.
Besides having all these wonderful academic things happening, we at Grissom have a lot of exciting things going on that kind of tie in with those academics. So we've initiated a lot of new firsts this year. We have a Sweethearts Dance. We had a Black History Month program, a Veterans Day program. All of our grades were actively involved in those, including our preschools. And we also encouraged the families to attend. We have Dr. Hatfield doing his leadership basketball program, and that's all grade levels this year. He did do the lower grades because we do have the basketball teams, but now he's encouraged those teammates to come and show their leadership with our little guys. We are continuing to have family nights where we invite our community partners to come in and interact with our families and provide them with any type of information they need. The one that warms my heart, because I'm a kindergarten teacher, is our connection with the Bridge and Warm Up Muncie. For, I'm going to say, approximately 15 years, we've had this tradition of some ladies making Afghans for our kindergarten students that we give them at Christmas, so that every kindergartner at Grissom gets an Afghan, and they love it because it fits them. And we talk about how moms and dads can't have this because it's not big enough for them to cuddle up with. So, and this year we've also started the Altrusa readers coming into kindergarten, and they love those stories and any of those activities that they do with them. So we have a lot of great things going on.
And then along with Mini First, we also have the Operation Recess, and this is where cops in our community are coming to indoor recess and building those positive relationships with our students. We also have our Sunshine Committee, which is a committee that builds staff morale in our buildings. So the month of February, we had Fab February, and we had little incentives for the teachers and just moments where we could come together as a school after the children have left and just kind of have some fellowship and some fun times together. We also had the Pride team come and put on a program at our school. We also have the Grissom Grocery with the Big Idea, and that's a great time for us teachers to volunteer our time and help with Glad Tidings, who also volunteers, to give food support to our families. And then we also have 6 Ball State student teachers in our building this year, and we have seen they're very strong student teachers, and we're very hopeful that they will apply for our district and be great future leaders for us.
So we just want to thank you for your continued support of our students, our staff, and our teachers. Last year, Mrs. Jocelyn and I were meeting, and we talked about wanting to have an additional mentor teacher, and we presented that to Dr. Reynolds and Dr. Kwajkowski, and they agreed to that. So that's been instrumental that was prioritized by our district leaders, and then also prioritizing an assistant principal. I've been able to shift my role this year into an instructional leader. I think that has been evident in our test scores, and Mr. Nason has been able to work a lot on building relationships with families and working on trying to work with our behavior coaches on a lot of those behavior incentives that we keep chipping away at every day. So definitely appreciate that support and the work that you do daily to support Grissom Elementary School.
Thank you so much.
You know, Brittany, you have some in the audience. Why don't you have them come up and introduce them too,
I have our
please?
counselor came tonight, Miss Johnson.
Yeah, Miss Johnson, we're making you come up
She
here.
is a product of Muncie Schools. So Miss Johnson went to Southside and has a connection and a heart for our families and our kiddos. And I cannot say enough about the work that she does. Between her and Mr. Page, they probably are running at least 15 social emotional learning groups throughout the day, and those groups change every 6 weeks. So what I really also love that you do is that you have lunch bunch groups with 5th graders, all the 5th graders. She'll be getting her locker locks out here soon, and they will be practicing locker combinations to get ready for middle school. So Jess is just phenomenal.
She's probably one of the most positive people I've ever met, so I do appreciate it.
Best compliment.
Yes, she's super positive, great for morale. She's all about changing changing the narrative and making things positive. So we have some of those tough days. She's a great person to go to that will process things with you and help you look at things from a different standpoint. She is.
Thank you.
There are great things happening at Grissom. You should be very proud.
So,
As a community, like just being around people who put their all into the kids, come back each day with the right attitude. Hey, I thought of this idea. It is, I've worked at 5 schools and there's nowhere else I'd rather be. No experience has been like this because everyone has a heart for our kids and our families, and that's important.
thank you. Any questions for the folks from Grissom? So, anything?
I was thinking, you know, too bad you bought your B team people.
They aren't allowed to go anywhere, so I do need to get closer to the mic and say that. They are mine. I'm very protective of them, and it is a phenomenal team with a lot of years of experience in Muncie, and they're very strong instructional leaders. But what I will say about them is the approach that they have all taken with our teachers has been one of help. I'm here to help. How can I help you? How can I grow you? How can I make you the best person I can be? They are not intimidating in any way, shape, or form. And I think that our teachers have really hung on to that coaching and support. And we observed a teacher today, Mr. Mason and I did, and the teacher asked that Mrs. Jocelyn stand outside of the room and watch this particular teacher teach just for that extra support during the lesson and just to feel good while that teacher was teaching.
So for the benefit of everybody at home again, could you go through my left to your right, your names and your years of experience?
Okay. So my name is Brittany Charles. I'm the principal of Grissom Elementary School, and this is my 15th year with Muncie Schools and my 6th year at Grissom.
I'm Tori Johnson, and I'm a 4th grade teacher at Grissom. This is my 6th year teaching, 2nd year at Grissom, and I'm the 4-5 mentor teacher.
And an outstanding teacher. You go in her classroom and great instruction is happening all the time.
I'm Jen Jocelyn, and I am the instructional coach at Grissom. This is my 23rd year teaching, my 2nd at Grissom, but I actually started my first 13 at Wilson Middle School and then left for a little bit after they closed it, but I am so thrilled to be back, so thanks.
And then I'm Natalie Garrity. I teach 2nd grade. This is my 7th year, and then I'm the 2-3 mentor teacher.
And again, you go in her classroom and outstanding instruction taking place all the time.
I am Jessica Johnson. This is my 12th year as a school counselor. Took some time before I got back to Muncie 3 years ago, so traveled Indiana.
I'm Heidi Keever. I'm a kindergarten teacher. I've been with Grissom my full 26 years, and I'm the mentor for K1.
I can't top that. I'm Ryan Nason. I've been in education now for 12 years. For my first 9 years, I taught special education, self-contained, emotional disability kids. And then for 2 years, I was a dean at an elementary school. And then this is my first year in Muncie Community Schools and as an assistant principal.
And did I hear you just bought a new home in Muncie too?
Yes, we did. Yeah. It's a tough market out there. So.
So by my calculation, we have over 100 years of experience. And I'm just so proud of the progress that Grissom has made over the past several years. And this is a remarkable report, and it's been there always. It's just, all those efforts are showing fruit.
Get the right people on the bus in the right seat. The driver knowing what they were doing. So hopefully we got it figured out.
So let me ask you all something from the behavioral perspective. And I'm sure there's scholarly work done on this, but as you see your children at your school beginning to recognize that they're capable of success, does that positively impact behavior?
Yeah.
So that confidence that starts to arise? Okay. And then the literacy issue, Jen, I'm curious. this is, we had started a little bit last year, but I think this is what the first full year for CKLA. Are you seeing, has that been positive, I'm assuming, from the standpoint of?
It's hugely positive. I have told everyone I know, and I have big connections in lots of other school corporations, and I am still very close to my fifth grade team from where I came from. And I have said to them, if you have a chance to adopt CKLA, and see if you can convince the leadership in your corporation to do. I've said this, you guys have been phenomenal with how you've supported teachers. In 23 years, I have been through many curriculum adoptions. I have never been supported like I've seen the support this year with Melissa Burton coming in and leading our teachers through the first round of lesson planning, then providing time even after the school year started, allowing the teachers to plan again together with that support, the mass amount of training provided by CKLA, and then the continued support by allowing us to have an additional mentor teacher, so we have 3 instead of 2. The pouring into our teachers that you have done with this adoption has made the difference. I'm even in some Facebook groups for CKLA for idea sharing, and anytime somebody says, what do you think of CKLA? Do you like it? How did you implement it? And I say, talk to your leadership, get them to let you implement it like this, and your teachers will be successful. So while the curriculum is phenomenal, and I love it, and I hope we stick with it for a very long time, part of that success comes from what you guys provided to us and the financial support to have the kind of support for our teachers that we've been able to give our teachers. We could not have rolled out the curriculum as well without that support. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
It's all
And
part of our support.
if there is anything that you all need at Grissom to continue moving things in the direction that they are, let us know that, please. Shoot up a flare, whatever. I love the data on the absenteeism, because that's a nationwide problem, and a lot of corporations and schools are attempting to tackle it without success. And I took a picture of that chart and sent it to some folks at the university, and I've already received some notes back wanting me to express to you all a sincere thanks for your work, because that's not easy. I mean, that's grinding it out day after day after day. And on behalf of the board, would you take back to all of your teachers and faculty how pleased we are, and we recognize that this is sacred work, and you're doing it very, very well. So thank you very much. Well, Dr. K, I don't want to skip you again.
How do you top that, right? Well, while they're still here, we currently have Scholastic School surveys out for our families to be able to share with us how we can improve our schools in a number of areas. And the last I checked, Grissom was leading for elementary with the number of parents who are responding. So again, building those relationships with families, encouraging them to give feedback, and they're doing that. So that's fabulous. I know. That's where good old Heidi makes sure that she gets that competitiveness. It gets. That's right.
So what are some of the tactics? What are you doing to get families to complete the survey?
So I
Come up to the microphone, Brittany, so that people at home can hear.
her is go on with it. We're missing one more. Heidi rolled out the links to us right before our Sweethearts dance, and we called her and we said, "Hey, is the link live now? Because we have a dance tonight." And she said yes. So I went to Mrs. Garrity and Mrs. Goldie, who is one of our first grade teachers, and said, "Hey, could you help me with something?" And they, in like an hour maybe, because we didn't have very much time, put together a QR code and a flyer, and then you went and put together 3 movie night gift baskets for families. So Mrs. Garrity did that in like an hour along with Mrs. Goldie. And so the night at the dance, we just asked families if they would fill out the survey. Their name went in a drawing for a gift basket. So then I'll let you talk about what we did with the pizza parties, the gift cards, and the second rollout with Mrs. Goldie.
So following our dance, we didn't have the number that we wanted to achieve that night. I think the parents were more focused on enjoying the night with their students, which was great. So what we did was we then made a flyer where the parents still had that QR code to scan it with their smartphones at home. And if they filled it out, the classroom who had the most, which happened to be my class, earned a pizza party this past Friday. And we still weren't happy with the results. We still wanted to keep achieving more. And so we did a third implementation of it, where this Friday we will draw 3 names and they will earn a $20 gift card to Walmart for the families and stuff. And so we told families you just have to do 1 per family. I've kept a list of all the kids that have completed it. We have a list of ones that are car riders, so we can kind of go at them again one more time.
Strategically hand the survey in the corridor line. So we sat down and went through those.
Had teachers post on their dojo and their seesaw pictures, just try to do different tactics and different strategies with it.
All of our pre-K gets dropped off and pickups. All of our pre-K teachers hand delivered a survey. But I would say it goes back to the relationships that our teachers have built with our families, that when our teachers are asking our families to help out our school, we want to hear your voice, that our families are doing it. The last I checked, we were at about, I think 47% of the goal was 40%. I think we were at about 47% of our population. So I think that's pretty good for our elementary school.
I know Scholastic said if we could get to 40%, they would be very satisfied with that. So you've exceeded it, but keep going. We'd like to hear from many.
Play of a fourth round.
Thank you.
And so we're hopeful for any families that are listening, you have the link for your school, and we really encourage you because we do want to hear from our families. They also talked about absenteeism, and so WTHR came and did a story about chronic absenteeism, and they focused on the good work that Grissom is doing to see improvement. So I would encourage you to go to the WTHR website, just type in the search chronic absenteeism, and you'll be able to get the story about Grissom. Katie Stone just did a remarkable job. You could tell how much she really cares about students. And I saw a few of you in the background when they went by classrooms and showed some of the students. Congratulations to Muncie Central senior Renee Voss. We all know Renee and think the world of her, who was selected for the coveted STORE scholarship. She will have her college tuition covered for all 4 years, and the scholarship is awarded to students who exhibit scholastic ability, integrity, leadership, and several other qualities. And Mark, don't you serve on helping with that scholarship? And so I'm sure you saw some excellent candidates, didn't you?
A lot of really good candidates.
Yeah.
She should be very proud.
She should be, yes. Congratulations. Here we have another board member I'm going to talk about. Goes to Muncie Central High School junior Sanaya Griffin and Jamar Clark for their impressive results at the Regional Science Fair last weekend. They each won various awards and were the top 2 finishers in the biomed category, and both will go on to the state competition in April. So that's exciting for 2 of our students. Yes. And then I know Ben Williams is thrilled that right now the gym at Northside is having a major upgrade. They're currently removing all the bleachers and sanding the floor to remove decades. I don't know how many layers of there is, Brad, but I think it's pretty thick, isn't it? 55 years worth. So it's going to be a different gym when they're finished. And it's going to, the walls will be repainted, and new aluminum bleachers will replace the old wooden ones. We have another day of concerts coming up on Thursday, where we'll have, it will be during the afternoon for the 4th and 5th graders from the elementaries at Central, and then at 7 o'clock open to the community. So we hope we have community members participate with that. We also want to thank the civics, the Create Civics team at Ball State for their donation of new flags to all of our schools. With some of our most recent renovations, we needed some new classroom flags, and some were a little worn out, and so we're happy that we were able to do that. And I know they also provided some globes for our classrooms too, so that was great. And then you heard that Grissom had a dance, and EWA also had student dances last weekend that were big hits with our families. So, you know, with COVID, we had to just shut everything down for a while, and now we are seeing all the great things that happen when we engage our families and our students. And so we're really proud of the work happening across our district.
Great. Any questions for Dr. Kay? So I saw a photo of, I believe, Sanaya's display. It was beautiful. That it was just fantastic. Yeah. Yes.
They are finding a cure for cancer that is non-chemical based, right? So they are.
Well, it was beautiful, and they clearly done a great deal of work on that project.
Thanks to the professors at Ball State working with them, right?
So my science fair,
Let's hear it.
I remember specifically, you know, that you have 3 panels, right? And I did it the last minute, and we had blue ribbons, red ribbons, white ribbons, and yellow ribbons. And my goal was to get a yellow, just to get through. And I scored a yellow like all 3 years. I didn't cure cancer without chemicals at all.
What was it?
My science fair project was, what effect does laundry soap and detergent have on the growth of some weed I got at a store in Richmond? That's my memory. It actually slowed the growth. I mean, so, that was 40 years ago, by the way. I was pacing myself at the time, so yeah, tell Sanaya just to calm down. So, okay. Keeping it light. We are on to the consent agenda. Any questions concerning those items? It's relatively thin tonight. Any questions? If not, would entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Move to show those approved. Mr. Jerome, I see we're on to more insurance premiums.
Yeah, this is a little better than when I came to you in January. This is for workers' compensation and cyber insurance, and I bring that to you tonight in your board packet for the renewal of these 2 types of coverage for this year. Pleased to report workers' compensation premiums would only go up $1,328. That's to change from the IPEP company to the ICW company. Cyber insurance also is a very modest increase of only $1,000 and $1,009. That will stay with Travelers, and asking the board permission to make those renewals as of March 1st.
Any questions? That those are favorable
Just
rates.
a quick one about the cyber insurance. Do they provide software to help us with preventing?
Well, I can tell you what they do. They test us.
Oh, they do.
And
They run it.
oh yeah, they run us through all kinds of tests to make sure we don't have any problems with our firewall. And before we could even do the renewal. So they did some testing on us, and we made sure we updated our firewall to their standards, and so we're able to make the renewal.
And Jim, the DOE has different programs that they support that we are able to access that Steve can use to do different things also.
Thank you.
Do we test our personnel occasionally on?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
How many
On
if they
fishing.
open or?
Right, it's on the fishing expeditions that sometimes they test us with.
Mhm. Did you fail, Lisa?
I didn't this time.
Well, I have a story about that too. We had one of our employees who has never in her life owned a Peloton, the exercise bike. Doubt that she's ridden a bike in the last 40 years, stationary or otherwise. And she got an email from somebody purporting to be Peloton saying your subscription is coming due, and we're going to draw out funds. If this was not intended for you, please call this number. and she stepped right into it. So it turned out to be, we were very fortunate to have cyber insurance, but it was, it took a while to clean up, and it looked legitimate. And I understand, we were talking, you and I were talking before we started about just, okay, somebody's going to get to my account, I need to address this. And so that's why I asked about the testing of our personnel.
Some of them look very, very real. I mean, very,
Well,
trust me.
yeah, no, and they are becoming increasingly sophisticated.
So when we see one at the school system, a teacher or administrator, do we forward it to Steve to check it out? Okay.
In a little folder, they're supposed to drop it in.
Drop it into that.
So if you have a doubt about a particular email, we have a Dropbox that goes in, and then Steve looks at it.
Or you run down the hallway and go, this doesn't look right.
Okay. Well, my people just try to sort it out on their own. So, just kidding. Okay. We need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second.
Moved in second. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
On to the Eclipse Day.
All right, I know you're very excited about the Eclipse Day celebrations. So I'm not super excited about making a calendar revision this late in the year, but we've not had to use any of our snow makeup days, and a few of our outside partners and friends are concerned about the gridlock that may occur that day. So I'm recommending that we, instead of a 2-hour early release on that day for the solar eclipse and for PD, that we close that day. We have a built-in snow day where we were had that ready to make up a day of school if need be that following Friday. So instead of being out on instead of having school on Monday, we will make it up on that Friday.
Okay. And that's the same thing I'm hearing across the board. So it's my understanding the university got like 70,000 pairs of those eclipse viewing glasses.
Right, get them at the planetarium.
Is there any, would our insurance company gripe if we brought
Yes.
the ball stick?
Yeah, they don't want us to sanction, endorse,
Eclipse viewing?
no, they don't want us
Okay. Thought.
to. Remember, the premiums went up $320.
That they understand the counterintuitive nature of this, that we're actually attempting to provide our students with a safety mechanism from the university. So we'd rather they not have glasses at all.
You know, if there's a box on the road and people just walk by and pick them up, right?
Or they just go out to the planetarium, just.
So we can let them know they're at the planetarium.
Planetarium, but I think it's a wise move because I'm on the Muncie downtown board now, Jim and others.
Yeah.
We're expecting that whole weekend to be flooded with people and celebrating downtown and so forth, because I can't imagine what it'd be like to have students at Muncie Central trying to
Yeah.
exit on that day with everything going on downtown on Monday. This is a wise move.
It's a good move.
Okay. Would entertain a motion to approve the calendar revision.
So moved. Second.
Moved and second. All in favor signify by
Aye.
aye. Dialogue or recommendations? Anything?
Does that also count for, MAC, like the students that come from other, everybody?
And so what happens with that, if one of I believe they're all going to, right now, I think Yorktown's the only one that we'll see what happens with them. So sometimes they miss a day if, if their school district is in or out. So like if they were off on Monday, they wouldn't come on Monday or vice versa.
Okay. Any additional questions or dialogue? We have no media inquiry, Mr. Klotz, I assume? Okay. Would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Show ourselves adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.
Do you have a few minutes afterwards? I have a couple topics.